Hey, are you doing the right things? And really, how do you even know? It's time for a sales behavior checkup. Here are the 5 most important sales behaviors that you can put into practice every single week. Well, welcome back, everyone, to the 5-Minute Sales Training. I have a feeling that this will be one of those episodes that gets shared a lot. Now, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button, please, and the like button if you don't mind. Your engagement helps us to get these weekly lessons in front of even more sales professionals. Have you ever been so excited for something that you didn't stop to think about the downside? Maybe it was the time you gave your kid a new drum set to help them build a new skill, but you didn't know that you'd be working from home. Let's have a little fun. In the comments below, tell me about something that you thought was only going to be great, but it had an unforeseen downside. I want to talk about the downside of those sales that you are making. See, many of you are out there getting a lot of sales, and that's great. Enjoy it. Take the credit when the sales are good. You know you're going to get the blame when the sales go bad. But are the results really coming from the behaviors? And can you prove that? This is a problem with something called the hindsight bias. I've talked about it before, but let me just refresh. You know, they say that hindsight is 20/20, right? Yeah, not really. Wrong! You see, the problem with the hindsight bias is that we tend to gauge the quality of our actions and behaviors based only upon the outcomes. I mean, if the outcome was correct, then the actions must have been correct. But I had a golf coach who once said, just because the ball went straight doesn't mean you hit it right. So I think it's appropriate right now that we take some time for a behavioral checkup. I want to talk about 5 errors in our sales behaviors, things that get lost when sales are strong, things that are going to throw us off of our game. These are bad habits that we get into, but we're still getting sales, so it must be right, right? Wrong. Let's talk about those 5 things. The first thing is the lack of mental preparation. That is that I'm really busy, so I'm going from this phone call to that paperwork, to that web lead over here, to this live conversation without a real mental preparation. You've got to ask yourself the question, what is the most important thing I will do today? And I'm going to tell you the most important thing you will do is talk to a customer. But if that's just another thing on your to-do list, then you will lack the mental preparation for that conversation. So I want to recommend here to you, if that's a problem, if you're just bouncing from task to task and not taking that mental prep, it only takes 5 seconds. 5 seconds to take 2 deep breaths and to recognize that whatever you were doing before pales in comparison to what you're going to be doing now. Here's the second bad habit. It's the half-hearted introduction. You know, we get really, really busy, and so now we get into the sales conversation. It's like, hey, I'm Jeff, and we're really busy, so let me just sort of tell you how it works here. First impressions mean something. You know why they mean something? Because first impressions lead to likability, and likability leads to trust. Now, I think you would all agree, market in and market out, trust is critical. We have to get that trust, but the quickest path, the shortcut path, the hack, if you will, is to find yourself to be likable first, and then let that lead you into that trust. How do you do that? Well, you combine it with step number 1, that 5-second rule, and make sure that by the time it's time for the introduction, you are all in, that you are fully present, that you are being your best self. Here's the third issue that salespeople get into. It's what I call the just the facts discovery.
Just the facts, ma'am.
See, you have to figure out what matters most for this customer, right? So if you're just looking at it and saying, what's your product need? What's your time frame? What's your price range? You know where you're missing? You're missing what matters most. The most important information we can learn from our customer, why are you here? Now, I get it. If you're really busy, you may not have 30 minutes for a discovery time, but you've got 30 seconds to figure out why they're thinking about buying in the first place and why now, what's going on. Here's a fourth issue, a fourth habit, bad habit, that salespeople get into in strong markets. They start looking for buying signals. It is not the buyer's job to give you buying signals. It is your job to detect buying behaviors. How do you do that? You ask soft closes all along the way. If you want to get a sense of where your customer is at, you have to be able to ask small little agreement questions all along the way. Not only is this good for you, it's good for your customer because it forces them from having to make the difficult decision all at once. They can make small decisions all along the way. And the fifth behavior that sometimes goes awry in strong markets, it's not owning the next step. When I wrote the book Follow Up and Close the Sale, it was all about the idea of how sales professionals own this process. I want you to go back and look at your last 5 buyers and ask the question, what happened? Who owns the next step with each of those buyers? Great salespeople are control freaks. They want to own it. They have to own it. And if building beneficial behaviors is something that's really important to you, and it should be, you need to check out Sales 365, my brand new app dedicated to turning the top 10% of sales professionals into the top 1%. The new app launches very soon, so head over to sales365.io in order to get more information. And until next time, everyone, learn more to earn more.